Close your eyes and imagine that you returned home one Monday afternoon. Your father told you that policemen were waiting for you in your room. You got arrested and sent to prison. You suffered in the prison for 2 horrible years, and just about 2 weeks before you should have your freedom, you were killed. What is your offense? Well, you said no to the foolish things your fellow countrymen were doing. That's exactly what happened to Dietrich Bonhoeffer on the 5th of April in 1943. Because Bonhoeffer said no to Germany's Nazi regime, he was arrested, jailed, and killed. Even though saying no might not get you killed today, most of us are still afraid of saying no to people in our lives, so much that we choose to accept anything and say yes to every request, every offer, and every plea from people. In this video, I want to prove to you that the reason why you find it difficult to say no to other people is that you're not saying no to yourself. I will be sharing with you why saying no to people is very difficult, the importance of saying no, and why you have to say no to yourself to be able to say no to others.
Ain't none of y'all old enough to go to the damn club. Ridiculous.
All through human history, saying no to people has been difficult. Saying no to an emperor or a king, for example, used to mean death. Saying no to a group of your friends meant alienation. In fact, this 2016 study by researchers at Wellesley College and the University of Kansas found that our desire for like-minded individuals is hardwired into us. We love the people who say yes to us, and yeah, I'm sorry, but we don't like people who say no to us, simply because no is often interpreted to mean I'm different from you or I don't like what you like. According to this 2008 study by the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships, we'll rather be friends with someone who is completely different from us but is perceived to be similar to us than someone who is like us but who is perceived to be different. It's difficult to say no to people when they want to get you to do what you don't want to do because you don't want to lose their relationships. You don't want them to dislike you. You don't want them to stop seeing you as their friend. To make everyone feel that we have a lot in common or that we're just like them, what we do is to say yes to everything. Would you come to my birthday party? Yes. Would you drive me to the store? Yes. Would you lend me some money? Yes.
So what I learned is that, the reason why people keep showing up is because my intention is to make them think that I'm such a nice person that you can ask me for anything, you can get me to do anything. I'm going to say yes, I'm going to say yes.
Now, if you want to master the art of saying no to what you don't want to do, there are 2 things you have to do. First, you have to drastically reduce the number of times you need to say no to people because none of us has the power to say no too many times. Second, you have to increase your capacity or ability to look at people's faces and tell them no. The simple way to achieve these 2 things is to learn how to say no to yourself. If you learn and master the art of saying no to yourself, saying no to other people becomes extremely easy. You see, there's this brilliant idea about the duality of human's nature, which means that there are 2 individuals inside every one of us. For example, there's a part of you that wants to eat healthy, exercise, save money, avoid excessive social media consumption, tell the truth all the time, etc. But there's also a part of you that always gets you to do all those things you really don't want to. On January 5th, 1886, Robert Stevenson published his famous novel, Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. This novel reveals the truth about our lives as humans, how one single individual has inside of him the spirit of good and that of evil. For example, in chapter 10 of The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Stevenson wrote, "Man is not truly one, but truly 2. The idea of duality in human nature had been explored by other works of art like William Shakespeare's 1597's Romeo and Juliet and the 1839's William Wilson by Edgar Allan Poe. But you get the idea. More dangerous than external forces and people who gets you to do what you don't want to do, and we have to start from him or her. Usually, when you learn how to say no to yourself, you won't have to say no to other people, or the number of times you need to say no will drastically reduce. Let me give you an example. Most of my friends know that I worship my sleep like a god. If you spend a few days around me, you'll notice that when it's 8:30 p.m., I'm shutting down everything to go and sleep. By 9 p.m., everything is subdued for my sleep. No social media, no TV, no calls or text messages. Nothing but sleep. Because I have said no to myself that I won't disrespect my body by staying up late, it's difficult for you as my friend to invite me for an all-night party. You know sleep is a god for me, so you won't even ask me. Talk less of having me to say no to you. By having the self-discipline to say no to yourself, half of the reasons why you need to say no to other people will have vanished, and it all starts by making a simple list.
I want you to say no. I want you to make a list of the things that you must say no to so you can focus on you.
Start by making a simple list of 3 things you want to stop the evil side of you doing. Don't make your list longer than 3 because complexity is the enemy of actions. Your list of no's may be something like no to the part of me that likes junk food, no to the part of me that wastes time on social media, no to the part of me that doesn't like to save money. The next thing you want to do is to create friction to make doing what you don't want to do more difficult. Studies in the field of human behavior had shown that the easiest way to say no to a bad habit is to create frictions or problems in the path of such habit. For example, in this 1981 study, researchers found that slowing down elevator doors by 26 seconds prompted more people to take the stairs. Hence, they had more exercise. This 2012 study found that removing vending machines from schools makes teenagers reduce snacking on junk food or drinking sugary soda. In his 2019 book, Good Habits, Bad Habits, Wendy Wood wrote, "Self-control is simple when you understand that it involves putting yourself in the right situations to develop the right habits."
Part of treating addictive behaviors is making it more difficult for you to get the substance that you are addicted to.
After identifying things in your life you want to say no to, you have to make doing those things difficult. For example, if you spend too many hours on social media, you might want to delete your social media app from your phone and only access it on a PC. Or you might want to log out every time you use your social media so that you'll have to go through the pain of logging in each time you have to use Facebook or Instagram. If you want to reduce your sugar intake, you want to get rid of every single bottle of soda in your refrigerator. So it's a little more difficult each time you're tempted to drink soda. If you find yourself spending every penny you earn, you might want to have a savings account that doesn't have a debit card.
I'm convinced at the center of the degradation of the majority of our culture, the disintegration of our culture before our eyes, is the inability of people to look at themselves and look at those they love and say, no.
Another strategy that works for me is to add some pleasure to things I don't want to do. For example, if you hate to cook at home and you love music, you can play your favorite songs while cooking. By enjoying the music, you don't feel the pain of cooking. You can do a similar thing for exercise or even eating healthy.
It's harder when your multi-million-dollar salary is now in the paper and you get a lot of friends and cousins you didn't have before. So how do you set boundaries for yourself?
According to this study published in 2007 by Science Direct, increasing your discipline in one area of your life will spill over to other areas of your life. In the study, Megan Otin and Ken Chang asked participants to undertake a money management program which involved similar exercises such as tracking and automating their finances and setting goals. Unsurprisingly, the personal financial situations of the participants improved, but something else happened, and that is, the researchers found that participants were also smoking fewer cigarettes, drinking less alcohol and caffeine, and eating less junk food. Listen, because the following statement will surprise you. Just by having some discipline to save money and set goals, the participants in the study were found to be more productive at work. How can we explain this? You see, Charles Duhigg wrote, and I quote, "As people strengthen their willpower muscles in one part of their lives, in the gym or in a money management program, that strength spilled over into what they ate or how hard they worked. Once willpower became stronger, it touched everything." To understand how this works, you have to think about your mind as you think about your muscles. The more you use it for certain things, the stronger it becomes. If you can master the art of saying no to yourself, saying no to other people becomes extremely easy for two reasons. First, you have learned how to hurt yourself. You've seen a part of you who likes sugar crying many times when you said no to sugar. You've seen a part of you who wastes 5 hours every day on social media crying several times when you don't allow him to do that. You've seen a part of you who hates saving money, murmuring and complaining when you don't buy a new iPhone. You're used to hurting that closest person to you, and now you want to hurt a friend by telling them no. How easy is that? Well, if I'm used to hurting myself, I wouldn't find it difficult to hurt you. The second reason why saying no to others become easier after we learn how to say no to ourselves is that, well, if you say no to yourself long enough, your friends will change and people who need to hear no will reduce. For example, if you stop smoking, stop drinking, or start reading books about money, naturally, you'll meet new people who cherish your new values and might let go of a few people who need to hear no along the way.
I don't know, I have learned one important thing, which is that I think you sort of get to a point in your life where you think, I have to learn how to say no to things I don't want to do. And that's a big mature moment when you start to begin to do that.
In February of 1933, just 2 days after Hitler was installed as Chancellor of Germany, Dietrich Bonhoeffer delivered a radio address in which he said no to Hitler. Bonhoeffer attacked Hitler and warned Germany against slipping into an idolatry cult of the leader who could very well turn out to be the seducer. Bonhoeffer was cut off the air in the middle of a sentence, but he would never stop saying no to Hitler. In April of 1933, Bonhoeffer raised the first voice of church resistance to Hitler's persecution of Jews, declaring that the church must not simply bandage the victims under the wheel, but I am a spoke in the wheel itself. Bonhoeffer was arrested on the 5th of April 1943 at the Gestapo and imprisoned at Tegel prison. He was later transferred to a concentration camp, and after being accused of being associated with the 20th July plot to assassinate Adolf Hitler, he was quickly tried and then killed on the 9th of April 1945 as the Nazi regime was collapsing. Whether it's Nelson Mandela, who said no to the apartheid regime of South Africa, or Steve Jobs, who said no to mediocrity all his life, whether it's you saying no to a friend who wants you to do what you don't want to do, or to a stranger who thinks you have all the time in the world, the foundation to the art of saying no is saying no to yourself. People who are disciplined enough to hurt themselves by saying no to themselves often find it easy to say no to other people.